And what do you need to invest now that is relevant to all possible future scenarios? This is what we would call a no-brainer strategy. So thinking further to the future will allow us to think about longer-term strategic intent of our company. And this, in turn, will help us to wisely choose which growth areas we want to build for the future. It is quite significant that we ended 2022 with the birth of ChatGPT. I think we have arrived at a point where artificial intelligence is becoming more difficult to separate from human intelligence. So the opportunity lies when companies can utilize artificial intelligence to conjure up meaningful differentiations in their products and processes. And the challenge on the other side is for companies to keep up with the rapid development of technology and investing in the right kind of resources to leverage the right kind of technology. The right kind of technology means the technology that truly creates value for the customers. So going back to the ChatGPT discussion, with further development, will ChatGPT replace journalists? Well, it will probably replace some journalists, but it will also help some other journalists to become better journalists by helping them to speed up the process of mundane tasks and enabling them to focus more on addressing truly difficult questions in society, or capturing truly significant ideas that are beyond the current horizon, hence creating more value for the audience. Another trend we are seeing along with the increased digitization is the rise of platforms. We are seeing how platforms now becoming intermediaries between companies and their end consumers. Platforms like e-commerce marketplaces, online travel agents, global tech giants such as Google and Meta, they're all providing opportunities for companies to reach larger pool of customers in a more efficient way. But for companies, disintermediating your relationships with your customers is a risky business, as you are allowing your customers to become more attached to the platforms rather than engaging directly with you as a brand owner. The proliferation of similar offerings on platforms also increase the risk of commoditization. So I guess finding a way for you to differentiate your product and services and directly engaging your customer, especially the loyal customers, are very important for long-term sustainability of a business. For us in the media industry, we have faced so many downturns in the past years with digital disruptions, political disruptions, pandemic disruption, and various macroeconomic disruptions. And I think the formula to prepare ourselves this time is still the same, which is to transform our existing products and processes to be more efficient and more relevant. And at the same time, we need to develop new growth engines. It is very challenging to do these two paradoxical transformations at the same time, but we also cannot afford not to do these things simultaneously. We need to keep the existing cash cows as long as possible to keep the lights on and to provide enough funding for new growth areas. And at the same time, we need to wisely invest in new cash cows of the future. In an economic downturn, it is even more challenging to perform these transformations because we're seeing negative impact of the economic downturn on our revenue. But economic downturn usually also forces a lot of discipline when conducting our existing operations, and also more discipline in choosing and developing new growth areas. And more discipline is always good. Indonesia financial sectors, for example, is in much better shape now because of the discipline that follows the 1998 economic crisis. As the future is uncertain and the uncertainty only increases every moment, I think it is also very important to think about future scenarios beyond one-year planning exercise that we routinely do as companies. For example, going back to the relationship you have with your customers and the platforms that stands between, in the future, who do you think will dominate the relationship with your customers? Is it the platform or is it you, the brand owner? How crucial is it for your company to win back some of that relationship? And what do you need to invest now that is relevant to all possible future scenarios? This is what we would call a no-brainer strategy. So thinking further to the future will allow us to think about longer-term strategic intent of our company. And this, in turn, will help us to wisely choose which growth areas we want to build for the future. And probably the most important thing now is to build a really strong team to execute the plan and to improvise when circumstances change. Aspiration and adaptation are equally important. Aspirations mean we as leaders need to be able to communicate what the aspiration of our organization is. You know, the purpose of the organization, why our organization exists. The Great Dictionary of the Indonesian language defines disruption as remove from the roots. So I guess we are truly disrupted when we are removed from our roots. Purpose connects people back with their work, reminding people of the importance of the work, and provides people with persistence to go through tough times. The second one is adaptation. We can only serve our purpose if we stay relevant to our customers. We understand that our audience are changing fast, and we need to transform ourselves to catch up with their needs. At KG Media, we believe the key to sustainable journalism is sustainable financials, driven by sustainable business models that revolve around strengthening our direct relationships with our readers and our advertisers. Well, I think the layoff of tech workers in Indonesia mostly happen in big tech startups who are facing the reality that, you know, a business must make a profit. And the way to make profit is usually by being very good at doing not too many things. While as big tech startups becoming more focused at their core business and lift fringe businesses, you will see a lot of layoffs. But I'm optimistic that for every product that big tech company abandon, there's bound to be smaller players coming in to fill the void if the product truly creates value. And these new smaller players probably have the chance to be more competitive than the big startups at developing that specific product, as the smaller players are more focused and more agile. And as these smaller players continue to grow, you will see normalization of demand for tech talents. The difference is, in smaller startups, you as a talent is probably expected to take up more generalist role than the very specific role you do in big tech companies. So balancing specialist skills with more general leadership and management skills will be helpful. Sudden crisis, which becoming more and more often lately, force us to think how to survive in short term. In a way, we have shortened our predictive horizon to adapt to current situation for short-term survival. But I think we do need to be more mindful of our short-term actions, to notice whether the things we are doing right now are counterproductive to the overall health of our product, our brand, and the customer experience in the long run. And oftentimes, we are more fixated on the short term, while keeping our mind off the more fundamental issue that require long-term complex solutions to address. For us at KG Media, it's about enlightenment through journalism and finding a sustainable model that supports it. This is where our sense of purpose becomes undeniably important, not only as a strategy compass, but also a moral compass for how you want to move your organization forward in the long term. Balancing between the exploitation of current opportunities and the exploration of new growths while staying true to our purpose are keys to move forward sustainably.